I'm going to combine two questions by Gerald Young and undeniable prestige concerning the quarterback position. And we've kind of covered this ground, but Gerald Young is making a comparison likening what we heard about Tate Martell's inability to throw the ball crisply, I will say, during spring practice. Is he a better version of Malik Rozier? And I'll segue that into the other question dealing with who would have the highest ceiling of the quarterbacks if he reaches his potential.
No, I don't think there's any comparison to Malik Rozier because Malik Rozier should not have been playing quarterback at the University of Miami. He didn't have the skills. He didn't have the talent. He didn't have the athleticism to do that. And we saw that time and time again. Well, he had the athleticism because he could run. But no, I'm not going to say that Tate Martell is on any kind of comparison. It's like one time in a basketball summer league game, somebody compared Darko Milicic to Chris Webber. And he said, what we're not going to do is put my name and his name in the same sentence because I'm Chris Webber and he's that dude. That's what I'm going to say about Tate Martell and Malik Rozier because we're not going to, no, I'm not going to even say that that's going to be a comparison. They're completely different kind of players and everything. And for the record, Tate Martell reportedly by everybody who was there, including our guy, Gabby Arudia from State of the U, who, is basically our beat writer now. So he's at pretty much every practice throughout the spring and fall and everything like that. He personally called me and said, no, Tate looked so much better every single other time that I saw him, other than that one day that was pretty terrible. And the first scrimmage at Travis Powell Stadium, they had constraints on the quarterbacks to do certain things. And those things were things that Tate Martell wasn't necessarily great at. And then at the second scrimmage up in Orlando, he played much better. So I'm not going to base his entire potential on one or two bad days. Look, the offseason is when you work on the things that you're not good at to make them better while still tweaking and improving the things that you are good at. And yeah, there's way more of the things that he's good at, actually being able to be a Power 5 quarterback that Malik Rozier could never even dream of doing. So no, I'm not going to, no, absolutely not. The other question as to who has the highest ceiling is tricky because I've said it once and I've said it a million times. Each of the quarterbacks does different things well. I don't know, man. I don't know. I think that the potential is there for all of them. Tate Martell was a 5-star recruit. N'Kosi Perry broke all of Dante Culpepper's high school records. Jaron Williams was, he was the other high school quarterback in the city of Lawrenceville, Georgia, which, if you didn't know, was where Trevor Lawrence went to college or high school. So, you're playing in the shadow of this superstar recruit at a rival high school in the same town. But all of them, have pedigree. All of them have potential. All of them have skills that could translate. If you're looking for who could be the best college quarterback of them, I would go slightly towards Tate because of his running ability, even though everybody knows that I'm still the president of the N'Kosi Perry fan club. I'm still a fan of his potential and athleticism. If you're looking for the NFL, I think it's Jaron because Jaron has not the strongest arm because that's N'Kosi, but he has a strong enough arm to make every single throw, and his ability to read defenses and be accurate, both where he is at 19 and then projecting to the future, I think that's a better fit for the NFL. So those will be my answers to those questions. No, we're not going to compare Tate Martell to the previous quarterback because the previous quarterback should not have been a Miami quarterback. And I'm not even going to glorify that by saying his name. And if everything in a vacuum were to go perfectly, I think who would be the best college quarterback would be Tate. I think who would be the best NFL quarterback would be Jaron. But obviously, that means everybody has to hit all of their marks. Everybody has to avoid injury. There has to be no ancillary, secondary, outside factors and things like that. So in a perfect utopian world, those would be my answers. But if they end up not being that, then that just means that somebody else worked a little bit harder and progressed a little bit further.
Yeah, despite the inexperience across the board from the three quarterbacks, N'Kosi Perry having most, of course, about a half season roughly, the quarterback situation is really in a good place for two reasons. Number one, you have depth to ensure against injury. Number two, you have depth to make a choice. So if, let's say, Tate Martell transferred and he was the only reasonable quarterback in play, you'd feel good that, okay, we got a five-star quarterback who has all this potential. But man, if he doesn't come through, we don't have really anything. We got a couple 2-stars behind him, and they're going to have to play because they know the offense. But what's likely to happen here is you got 3 very talented quarterbacks, 4 and 5 stars. And let's say their ceiling is 100 for all of them, and one of them plays at a 85 and one and 75 and one a 70 during August camp. And what we've seen prior to then it's up to the coaching staff to, number one, make the proper determination on who is the best of these 3 quarterbacks. And then I'm sure that's not always easy because they have different skill sets and they do different things well and then lack in other areas. So that's a difficult determination. But somebody is going to show leadership ability, throwing acumen, grasping of the offense, ability to run, and some combination of those 4 things. And beyond that if somebody falters, well, you've got the backup and the backup. And I'm talking about even before you hit the field in game 1, in terms of them seeing something in practice. If Tate Martell's not as good as advertised or as good as they thought he was going to be, or Jaron Williams or N'Kosi Perry hasn't progressed from what they saw last season, then they've got 2 other guys who there is reason to believe, despite their inexperience, that they can deliver at this level based on how they've been scouted coming out of high school.
Exactly. And the thing about it is, like, yeah, eventually you have to play to get experience. You know, Shaq Quarterman having, 40 starts in his career coming into this season, his freshman year, he had 0. Him and Mike Pinckney and Zach McLeod. You know what I'm saying? Like, so eventually you do have to play to get that experience. But yeah, you have the requisite talent and potential. And yeah, the coaches have to coach it out of you. And just like Mark said, if somebody is not meeting the level in their development, it's, you have 2 other guys who hopefully one or both of them are. And, it's just, it's a race. Like everybody starts at the same time. It's the 100-meter dash, as it were. Everybody lines up together at the same exact point and starts running. And if you're fast enough and you're to the front and you're the best in that, great. If you start in front and then somebody else passes you, hey, that's also fine. And that's the way that things happen. Like, so yeah, I mean, there's Miami caliber talent in the quarterback room for the first time in a long time. And I'm even talking about when Brad Kaya was here, because Brad Kaya was the talent in that room for years. You know what I mean? I mean, before that, it was Stephen Morris was the talent. Now, Kevin Olsen had talent coming out, but obviously he had off-the-field issues, and many, many of them that precluded him from coming anywhere near realizing that talent. But then again, when you only have 2 guys at the level that you need to have, it's hard to find one to play. I mean, and that's why Brad Kaya played every game that he was here in Caldwell, except for that Duke game after he got that concussion against Clemson in 2015. But every game that he was healthy, he played, and he played the entire game because that's who we had. But now, yeah, you have a former 5-star recruit and 2 former 4-star recruits, one who's All-American and one who broke Dante Culpepper's career records at his high school. Bro, you could not say anything like that anytime recently. So yeah, it's up to those guys to be doing the work behind the scenes. Right now, they're in the summer, just getting wide receivers to run routes on air. They're in the facility. They're watching film. They're breaking down that playbook. They're in it the entire time, and they're grinding because, yeah, the offseason is when you develop those things. I mean, your favorite NBA player, if they didn't have a strong left hand to finish at the rim, this time right now in July is when they're working on left-hand layups and taking that hit and going through so that next season when the lights come on, I've already done the work to be able to do that. That's what's up to the quarterbacks now. So Dan Enos and Manny Diaz, they lined up and they said this. They said our goal was to, at the end of spring, have worked on everybody's individual deficiencies so that they are starting at the same point heading into the summer. Because you have to be a self-starter. You have to work for yourself. Not just, okay, because coach said we had to go to a meeting and coach said we had to do whatever. Because you want to be the man. You want to be the quarterback at the University of Miami, the U, and win games and put up numbers. You got to work for that. And, if you don't think that you are because, Tate Martell is dating an Instagram model or Nicosi Perry is fine, whatever, but you don't know that, he was in the gym from 5 a.m. until 3 p.m. before going over to South Beach. So you see a picture on South Beach, oh, he's not doing anything. Yeah, because I put in an 8-hour day already in the facility. But all that time has to be put in, and we're going to see the fruit of that labor coming up in fall camp. But yeah, there are 3 guys who could reasonably be Miami's quarterback, and it would not be ridiculous. It would not be taking any player who is substandard and artificially lifting them to the front. You know what I mean? It wouldn't be Evan Shirreffs or a Preston Dewey, who eventually or previously came to Miami and had to retire because of back injuries. He went to a small private school in Texas and he came out here, but he should not have been Miami's quarterback. But if Miami ever put him to the top, it would have been that same kind of a reach. None of those 3 guys at the top, it would be a reach. Now, obviously, you're not going to have the same offense because they do different things well. But yeah, there is Miami caliber talent at the quarterback position, and hopefully, Dan Enos is developing it and finds the guy to lead this team this year.
I'd like to know how many people you sent scrambling to Google once you mentioned that Tate Martell is dating an Instagram model.
That just flashed across my head. Yeah, I'd see. It was funny. Like, we don't do that kind of journalism at State of the U, and we never will. But I saw one of our competitor websites wrote up a thing. It's like, oh, hey, meet Tate Martell's girlfriend. I'm like, bro, like, he's a 20-year-old college kid or 21. You know what I mean? Like, since when did we start talking about people's dating lives like we're TMZ? Like, come on, bro. Like,
those are automatic clicks because
right. I know they are, but the thing for me is
people want to see pictures.
Right, I know everybody wants to see pictures and whatever. I mean, like, I follow Tate Martell because I follow all of the players on Twitter. So he put up a picture or 2 pictures of him and the young lady on the timeline the other day. And, like, I'd seen that from before. So, like, whatever, because it was, like, she posted it on her Instagram and somebody, like, DM me or whatever. So I knew who he's dating, like, whatever, fine, seen it. But then, like, Twitter went crazy, and then they were writing all these articles and things like that. So, I mean, yeah, I don't try to be in his personal life or things like that. But I'm just saying, in the course of the context of that conversation, if people see Tate and his girlfriend, who's like, apparently well known down here in South Florida on Instagram, at the beach or posting a picture from there, like, oh, he's not working hard. Yeah, but if you're at the beach at 3 and I got up at 5 or 6 and I was in the facility for 8 hours from 6 to 2 before I went over there, you put in a full day's work. And if I did enough towards that, then that can still mean that I'm still doing what I need to do to be the quarterback at the University of Miami, which was my point, even though I did kind of derail for that detail.
He knows the information. He can put it into context. He can tell a great story, and he has journalistic integrity. Check out Cam Underwood, the rest of the staff there at State of the U.